There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. What if I told you that 95% of people are already failing, and they don't even know it? Not because they're not smart, not because they're not talented, but because they're drifting like a boat with no sail, no compass, and no damn clue where it's going. They wake up every morning chasing clocks, chasing paychecks, chasing approval from people they don't even respect. And yet when you ask them, what do you really want? They freeze, they stutter, they stall, because no one ever taught them to decide. You see, failure doesn't begin when you lose. It begins when you refuse to choose. That's the moment your power dies. People don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they never aimed at all. And while most are busy trying to fit in, the top 5% are asking themselves one question: what the hell am I here to do, and what will I burn for until it's mine? That's the line that separates the average from the extraordinary. And that's where Napoleon Hill draws his sword and carves a truth that hits harder than time itself. There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. Let's break that open and see why 95% fail. Because they ignore it. Definiteness of purpose. 3 words. But behind them, the entire architecture of a successful life. Napoleon Hill didn't stumble upon this idea by accident. He spent 25 years interviewing over 500 of the most powerful men in the world: Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, men who built empires from the dust. And guess what every single one of them had? Clarity, obsession, purpose. Hill discovered that success wasn't born in luck, nor in education. It was born in the mind of someone who had the courage to declare, "This is what I will achieve, and I will not stop until it's mine." But in today's world, we are drowning in distraction. We scroll instead of decide. We multitask instead of focus. We drift instead of drive. And drifting, as Hill wrote in Outwitting the Devil, is the #1 cause of failure. He warned that people who lack purpose become slaves to circumstance, tossed around by life like leaves in a storm. Drifting is the habit of the majority. Definiteness is the tool of the 5%. So let's look at what happens when someone ignores this truth. Chris Farley, a comedic genius, a storm of laughter. He was beloved by millions. But behind the stage lights and wild energy was a man torn apart, because while the world saw jokes, he was quietly screaming for meaning. Farley never had a clear internal compass. He admitted he didn't know why he was doing what he was doing, only that people laughed, so he kept performing. He didn't anchor his fame in a mission. He didn't build a foundation under the dream. He rose fast and fell faster. Addiction crept in, self-worth collapsed, and purpose, he never found it. In his final months, friends said he looked haunted, surrounded by people but completely alone, searching for something he never named. At just 33 years old, Chris Farley was gone. Napoleon Hill warned us, there can be no hope of success for the person who does not have a central purpose or definite goal at which to aim. Farley had all the fame, but none of the why. And that absence, it devoured him. This is what happens when the gift is greater than the guidance, and it's a price far too many pay. Hey there, and welcome to Oliver Napoleon Hill, the place where we strip away the noise, the fluff, and get down to the core truths that separate failure from fulfillment. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most overlooked principles in human success. A principle so powerful, Napoleon Hill called it the starting point of all achievement. And yet, 95% of people ignore it. Not because they don't care, but because no one ever taught them how to choose it, how to live it, how to become it. That principle is this: definiteness of purpose. And if that phrase sounds simple, don't let it fool you. It is the difference between living on purpose or by default, between building a life you own or dying in one that owns you. Napoleon Hill spent a quarter of a century studying the greatest minds alive, and he found that every single one of them had 5 critical traits tied to this principle. Miss even one, you drift. Embody all 5, you ascend. Number 1, the definite major purpose, the master key. Most ignore. Let's be brutally honest. Most people wake up every day with no idea why they're waking up. They go to jobs they hate, to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't even like, and then they wonder why they feel empty. Napoleon Hill said, "There is no hope of success for the person who does not have a central purpose or definite goal at which to aim." Your definite major purpose isn't a wish. It's not a vision board. It's not a dream written on a sticky note. It's your reason for existing. It's the thing you would bleed for, sweat for, wake up early, and stay up late for, because it matters that much. When Hill interviewed Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men to ever live, Carnegie told him, "People fail because they lack clarity of purpose and are scattered in their efforts. You must focus all of your energy in one burning desire, or it will burn you." But here's the painful part. Most people don't want to choose a purpose, because choosing means committing, and committing means risking. And risking? Well, that means you might fail. So they avoid the choice altogether. They play small. They keep their options open. But here's the truth. Options without purpose are just distractions in disguise. A man without a purpose is like a loaded gun with no target. All power, no direction. Hill called this state drifting. In Outwitting the Devil, he describes drifters as people who go through life without ever knowing what they want. And when you don't know what you want, you become easy to control by employers, by fear, by your past. Success requires no apologies. Failure permits no alibis. Napoleon Hill. The day you declare your definite major purpose, you draw a line in the sand. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. This isn't just a goal, it's an identity shift, from wanderer to warrior, from dreamer to designer. So stop lying to yourself. Stop telling yourself you're figuring it out. If your dream isn't clear, it will never be real. Write it down, burn it into your mind. Let it become the fire that drives you, not the excuse that distracts you. Because when you don't know what you want, you'll settle for anything that comes your way. And that's exactly why 95% fail. Now hear me. Every person on this earth was born with a seed of greatness, but that seed needs a direction to grow. Purpose is that direction. Without it, you're just reacting to life, waiting for luck to save you, waiting for the right time, waiting for someone else to hand you permission. Let me be clear. No one is coming to give you that. Not your boss, not your parents, not your partner, not even God, unless you move first. You must choose, deliberately, boldly, and without apology, who you will become. Otherwise, the world will choose for you. Napoleon Hill didn't write from theory. He wrote from the battlefield of life, and he saw it plain. All who succeed have a definite chief aim, and all who fail lack it. That's the line in the sand. Do you want to live accidentally or architect something immortal? Because when you know your purpose, your energy sharpens, your days gain weight, your decisions become simple. You no longer ask, "What should I do?" You ask, "Does this serve the mission?" And when everything in your life must serve the mission, that's when life stops drifting and starts ascending. So, what's it going to be? A purpose worth dying for, or a life spent surviving? Number 2, the enemy within, indecision and procrastination. Let's rip the curtain back on a hard truth. Most people aren't held back by the world. They're held hostage by themselves. They know what they want. They feel it burning deep inside. But they stall, they wait, they overthink, they scroll, they snack, they say maybe tomorrow, and then they call it burnout, when really it's just buried purpose. Napoleon Hill said, "Indecision is the seedling of fear." Remember this as you read. Indecision crystallizes into doubt, and doubt crystallizes into fear. You don't become afraid, you build fear, one indecision at a time. You think procrastination is harmless? It's not. It's a thief in a suit. It doesn't break your dreams violently. It just politely delays them until they rot in silence. Hill's interviews with Edison, Ford, and Carnegie revealed something stunning. Every one of them made decisions fast and rarely changed them. Why? Because they weren't guessing. They were acting from purpose. And when you have purpose, you don't wait for the stars to align. You decide and you move. Let's call it out plainly. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you're handing over a piece of your future to the very forces that want you mediocre. The world isn't going to sit still while you figure it out. It's moving. Opportunities are disappearing. Time is running. Procrastination, the opposite of decision, is a common enemy which practically every man must conquer. Napoleon Hill. You think you have time? You don't. Every minute you delay, the life you could have lived slips further away. Now here's the brutal twist. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just misaligned. When your soul doesn't know what it's fighting for, your mind will find 1,000 reasons to pause. But once you define your purpose, as we said in Pillar 1, everything changes, because purpose makes decisions obvious. Purpose makes procrastination impossible. And that's why this second pillar matters so much, because the real battle isn't outside of you. It's the one happening in your own reflection. Here's the tragedy no one talks about. Your future isn't lost in one big mistake. It dies in the tiny invisible moments where you choose nothing at all. You think you're being careful. Number. You're training your nervous system to flinch, to hesitate, to settle. Every time you say, "I'm still thinking about it," you reinforce the belief that you're not ready, that you need permission, that you don't trust your own voice. Successful people reach decisions promptly and change them very slowly. Unsuccessful people reach decisions, if at all, very slowly and change them frequently. Napoleon Hill. And yet most people live on the fence. Half inch, half out. Dabbling in dreams they're too scared to marry. They'll research for months, plan for years, and then do nothing. Why? Because indecision feels safe. It postpones the moment of failure. But guess what? Inaction is failure in slow motion. Let that hit you. When you do nothing, you teach life you're not serious, and life listens. It starts taking opportunities off your path, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity, because nature rewards the bold, not the perfect, not the polished, just the decisive. And if you wait too long, if you hesitate too often, that voice inside you that once whispered, "Go," will stop speaking at all. Number 3, the power of persistence, turning failure into fuel. Here's a harsh truth most can't stomach. You will fail. You will fall. You will be laughed at, doubted, ignored, misunderstood, underestimated, and still be expected to rise. And the only thing that separates the 5% who break through from the 95% who break down, it's not talent, it's not timing, it's persistence. Napoleon Hill said, "Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting." Persistence is the spine of all greatness. It's what keeps the fire alive after the dream gets hard. It's showing up after the applause stops. After the first, second, and 10th failure, it's faith in motion. When Hill studied Edison, the man who failed over 10,000 times before inventing the electric light, he realized something. It wasn't Edison's genius that made him great. It was his refusal to quit. Edison failed 10,000 times, but he didn't call them failures. He called them steps toward success. Napoleon Hill. Most people quit at failure number 3, or 2, or 1. Why? Because they mistake rejection for a stop sign, when really it's just a test of how bad you want it, a test of whether your dream is made of plastic or steel. But here's the secret Hill uncovered. Every failure you survive sharpens your soul. It refines your desire. It deepens your resolve. You don't just become stronger, no, you become inevitable. And persistence isn't just about brute force, it's intelligent. It adapts, it learns, it grows stronger with every setback. But if you give up, you don't just lose the goal, you lose the version of you who was born to rise. So here's the raw truth. You don't need more motivation. You need more grit, more obsession, more silence in the face of critics, more action in the face of chaos. Because no matter how long the journey, if you keep showing up, life has no choice but to make room for you. Let me tell you what no school, no job, no guru will say. The world rewards the last man standing, not the one who started the fastest, not the one who looked the smartest, but the one who simply would not stop. Persistence is quiet. It doesn't post its progress. It doesn't care about applause. It's what you do in the dark when no one is watching, and your only fuel is faith in what isn't visible yet. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Napoleon Hill. Most people give up just inches from the finish line. They don't even know how close they were, because the night always feels darkest right before the breakthrough. Think about that for a moment. Hill wrote of thousands of men who quit right before they struck gold. Literally. The classic story of R.U. Darby, who gave up 3 feet from a gold vein, only for the next person to dig just a little deeper and hit the jackpot. Why? Because Darby lacked persistence. You might feel tired right now, broken, ignored. Maybe life has slapped you with setback after setback. But here's the thing, you are still here, and that means you still have a shot. So get back up, sharpen your reason, and move forward like someone who understands setbacks aren't punishments. They are proving grounds, because persistence isn't what you do when it's easy. It's who you become when everything hurts and you keep going anyway. Number 4, the invisible counsel, training the mind to follow purpose. What if I told you the most powerful room in your life doesn't exist in a mansion, a boardroom, or a temple? It exists inside your mind. Napoleon Hill knew this. He called it the invisible council, a mental boardroom, a gathering of the greatest minds, dead or alive, whom you invite into your imagination to advise you, strengthen you, and remind you who you're becoming. I had the habit of reshaping my own character by trying to imitate the 9 men whose lives and life works had been most impressive to me. Napoleon Hill. Every night, Hill would sit quietly and imagine conversing with men like Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and Napoleon Bonaparte. He studied them, he spoke to them, he learned from them, and something magical happened. His mind began to align with theirs. Their clarity became his. Their confidence became his. Their purpose became a map for his own. You see, the mind doesn't know the difference between real and vividly imagined. So when you consciously train it, when you feed it greatness, it begins to build greatness within you. But most people, they fill their mental council with cowards, with voices of fear, of scarcity, of critics from childhood, from failure, from social media, and then they wonder why they self-sabotage. Let me ask you, who is seated at the table of your thoughts? Who do you consult before taking action? A version of you that's bold, wise, and powerful, or one who's scared, small, and silent? You must become ruthless about who you let speak in your mind. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Napoleon Hill. Your imagination is not for escape, it's for design. And when you train your mind to think in alignment with your purpose, you stop reacting like a victim and start creating like a visionary. The invisible counsel is not fantasy. It's a forgotten weapon. Use it, or let the noise of the world choose your fate. Now let me ask you something few dare to answer honestly. What voices dominate your silence? Because when the world gets quiet, and the lights are off, and the applause is gone, who do you become in your mind? Napoleon Hill understood a timeless truth. We all have a counsel, but most of us never choose it consciously. We inherit it from trauma, from television, from tired voices that never dreamed bigger than survival, and then we wonder why we shrink from risk, why we talk ourselves out of action, why we sabotage the very things we prayed for. Hill's invisible counsel wasn't just a mental exercise, it was identity reconstruction. He selected powerful minds, men of courage, vision, and results. And by meeting with them nightly, he trained his subconscious to think like them, act like them, believe like them, because repetition rewires reality. Through the aid of the imagination, faculty of the mind, man has discovered and harnessed more of nature's forces during the past 50 years than during the entire history of the human race prior to that time. Napoleon Hill. You don't need another app, another guru, another excuse. You need a higher circle inside your head, and you must visit it daily. Sit with your future, speak with your heroes. Train your mind to seek wisdom, not approval. Because here's the truth. Before any great external transformation, there must be an internal resurrection. The invisible counsel is how you begin that rebirth, by deciding from now on, my thoughts will be led by giants. Number 5, the burning obsession, the one emotion that turns thoughts into reality. There is one word, one force, that Napoleon Hill placed above all others in Think and Grow Rich. It is not luck, it is not strategy, it is not even intelligence, it is desire, but not just any desire, a white-hot, all-consuming, non-negotiable, obsessive desire that takes over your bloodstream. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Napoleon Hill, desire so deep, it becomes identity, so bold, it drowns out doubt. So focused, it makes failure irrelevant. Hill didn't say, kind of want it. He didn't say, hope for it. He said, burning obsession. And here's why. When you merely want something, you will chase it until it becomes hard. When you are obsessed with it, you will chase it until it becomes yours. That's the difference between a dream and a destiny. Every human being who reaches the age of understanding of the purpose of money wishes for it. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches, and backing those plans with persistence, does bring riches. Napoleon Hill. Obsessed desire transforms your thoughts from wishes into weapons. It gives your vision a gravitational pull. People feel it. Doors open, plans align. But here's the painful part. Most people are taught to fear obsession, to stay balanced, to be realistic. Realistic? Hill would laugh at that. He'd say, realistic is the language of the unremarkable. Every person he studied, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, had one thing in common. They burned, not with luck, not with charm, but with a relentless inner fire to bend reality toward their vision, or die trying. Because when your desire becomes obsession, action is no longer a choice. It becomes compulsion. You stop asking for motivation. You become a force of momentum. So ask yourself, what is the one thing you would devote your entire existence to if fear didn't exist? That answer is your gold. And unless it becomes obsession, it will rot in your imagination. Let me put this as clearly as I can. If your dream doesn't keep you up at night, if it doesn't steal your breath when you talk about it, it's not strong enough to survive reality. You don't need a backup plan. You need burning obsession that sets fire to every escape route behind you. Obsession is not madness. It's focus in its purest form. It's not about being reckless. It's about being ruthless with your attention. You see, the reason most people never reach their dream isn't lack of talent. It's lack of emotional voltage. Hill discovered this through countless interviews. People didn't win because they were smarter. They won because they were on fire. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Napoleon Hill. But belief without obsession is soft. Obsession hardens belief into conviction, into movement, into inevitability. You start waking up early not because you have to, but because you can't sleep knowing what's possible. You stop explaining your dream to people who don't get it, because you're too busy building it. Obsession is the birthplace of greatness, And here's the secret. Hill wanted the world to remember, the universe doesn't move for the interested, it moves for the obsessed. So if you're still on the fence, if you're thinking about it, if you're waiting for permission, understand this: you've already lost the race to someone out there who is consumed by the very thing you're just considering. Number 6, transformation arc. When you live it, everything changes. Imagine this. You're walking alone, under a sky so heavy with stars it feels like the universe is watching. You've failed, you've fallen, you've been laughed at, ghosted, broken, underestimated, exhausted, and yet, you keep walking because something inside you burns brighter than your excuses. That's when it happens. The shift. Your doubts start whispering instead of screaming. Your fears stop running the show. Your pain, it becomes fuel. Your mind sharpens like a blade because now it's aligned with purpose. You've trained it, disciplined it, forged it in the furnace of obsession and persistence. Your invisible counsel becomes louder than your critics. You stop asking the world for permission and start giving yourself orders. And that quiet fire inside, it grows louder than applause, more permanent than validation, more intoxicating than fame. You don't chase motivation anymore because now you are momentum. You've crossed over. This is where the world begins to move around you, where the right people appear, the right opportunities open, not by accident, but by alignment. Because you finally understand, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you're willing to become. You are no longer a wanderer, you are a weapon of will, and reality has no choice but to bend. You start waking up before the alarm, not out of duty, but destiny. You stop checking who's watching, who's liking, who's doubting, because now you believe. And that belief moves mountains quietly, without needing validation, without needing noise. People begin to sense something in you, a force, an intensity, a stillness that says, this one knows where they're going. Your life becomes poetry in motion, not because it's perfect, but because it's on purpose. You no longer fear failure, because failure isn't final, it's fuel. And now you walk with a sacred rage, a softness held inside steel, an elegance built from endurance. You are no longer hoping, you are becoming. What to do now, starting today? You've felt the spark, you've heard the whisper, you've walked through the storm. Now, it's time to move. Let's bring this down from the clouds and drop it right into your chest. Step 1, pick the one thing, not 10, not 5. 1, the one thing that you'd still do if it broke your heart. The one thing you'd regret never doing on your deathbed. That's your obsession. Protect it like it's sacred, because it is. Step 2, create your council. Hill didn't wait to meet the greats. He imagined them, studied them, sat with them in silence until their mindset became his own. Pick 5 people who represent the character, power, and legacy you desire. Read them, learn them, talk to them in your mind daily. Step 3, rewrite your inputs, cut the noise, kill the distractions, replace garbage media with greatness, replace people who drain you with people who challenge and charge you. The mind is a garden, and your daily inputs are either weeds or water. Step 4, build relentlessly. Stop asking, start building. Don't wait for the right time. Time will never be right. Success doesn't come when you're ready. It comes when you're obsessed enough to create your own readiness. Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand. Napoleon Hill. Step 5, stay on fire. Write your goal daily. Visualize it, speak it, live it. Do not let the fire cool, because in a world of lukewarm effort, obsession is your advantage. Every minute spent doubting is a minute someone else is outworking you, outbelieving you, outburning you. The universe rewards those who decide. So decide, not tomorrow, not when you're comfortable, right now. You were not born to wish. You were not born to wander. You were born to create, to command, to carve mountains with your will. Napoleon Hill did not write for the interested. He wrote for the obsessed, the few who would listen to their own fire, even when the world tried to extinguish it. So hear this, and never forget it. There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. Napoleon Hill. Every second you hesitate, every excuse you entertain, is a prayer for a lesser life. But every step you take, every act of discipline, every decision to not quit, is a signal to the universe that says, I will not die with my music still in me. This is not motivation. This is your warning and your awakening. The rest is up to you. Welcome to your obsession. Welcome to your becoming. Welcome to Oliver Napoleon Hill.